Welcome everyone to another Conan Exiles tutorial video. And in this video we're going to be taking a look at the slavery system in the game, or Thralls as they're called. So we're going to be talking about where do you find them, how do you get them, and how do you force them to do your bidding. We're going to be talking about the whole thing. So we'll start out by showing you a few of the Thralls that I have captured. And these are the fighter thralls. Now, each NPC that you encounter within the game, and you can find these at various encampments. In fact, there's one right over there, which is why I chose this spot for this. So we've got an encampment right here, just across the water there, and then another one just across the water over there. So plenty of encampments nearby for me to go and get these guys. So the fighter thralls will, or fighter NPCs, what you have to do is you go to the encampment and you have to knock them out. And the thing you're going to need to knock them out is essentially what looks like a billy club. So let's take a look at what that looks like actually in our recipe section. And I have no idea how to pronounce that for real, so I'm just going to say it's a truncheon and call it a billy club from now on. But that's what you're going to need to, instead of killing these guys, to actually knock them out. But essentially, once you find one of them that you want to essentially tame, to use the art terminology here, we're going to tame one of them. What you do is you go up and you beat them across the head however many times you need to, and then once you have knocked them unconscious, you're going to pull out the fiber bindings. And once they're laying unconscious on the ground, you use the fiber bindings to attach to them, and then you will simply drag them back to your encampment or your base. Okay, once you get them back to your base, you're going to come over to a lesser wheel of pain, which is the beginning one. There are also upgraded versions of this, but this is the area, particularly if you've seen the Conan movies, this is featured very prominently in the movies. So you'll come to one of these, and the lesser wheel of pain can only support one at a time for essentially training. You're going to break their will by forcing them to push this wheel of pain. And so if we press E to come into the wheel of pain, now this is where the new NPC that you have captured and bound and drug over will appear in here, and then they will also appear toward the bottom right in the crafting queue. Okay, and after a certain amount of time on the wheel of pain, they will be finished, and then you can simply grab them, drag them out, just like you would anything, any piece of resource or equipment. You would simply drag and drop them into your inventory, and then they can be placed on the ground. Okay, now the lesser wheel of pain, or the wheel of pain itself, can be fueled by a few things, but the thing to keep in mind is it is food that fuels this, not wood and not seeds. And of course, this is some meat that I have in here that has gone bad. But what I've been fueling it with is steak or cooked meat. So you can use that, simply put that in here, turn it on whenever you are ready, and you will have a new thrall after a certain amount of time. So what do you do with them once they're done? As I mentioned, you put them in your inventory, and you can place them just like you would with any other object in the game. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over to this thrall, and I'm going to click on there. I can either take or cancel, and I'm going to take, and you can see that she is now no longer on the ground. Again, they can be used and placed just as you would any other item in the game, just as if you were building. So I'm going to take her from my inventory, drag her into a slot, press the 6, and then I can simply place her on the ground. Now, she is a fighter, which means that she is going to wait here on the ground in this area, wherever I put her, and defend our base from any attacks that our base might have. Okay, so you can see around, I've got a couple of these guys stationed, and then we come over to the blacksmith's bench, and you can see that I've got yet another thrall. And there are different types of thralls. You'll find fighters, you'll find archers, and then you'll find very specialized ones such as the blacksmith. Now, the blacksmith, if I hold E, the blacksmith thralls cannot be placed as the normal thralls, the fighter or the archer would. In this case, for this particular thrall, you need to place him in the inventory of the particular bench that they are specialized for. So I came into the blacksmith bench, placed the thrall here, and now you see what has happened. Another option, and the option that it actually shows in the Wheel of Pain itself to fuel rather than cooked meat, is to use gruel. And here you can see I've just made up 120 very quickly. And what you need for this is simply seeds and plant fiber. Okay, so very easy to make, and you can put this in the Wheel of Pain, and this will enable you to train them using items that you can find very easily from the plants around you. Okay, so what do these specialized thralls do? And the simple answer to that is not a lot right now. Keep in mind, this is an early access game, but what the thralls are used for here, and you can see we've got multiple slots to add these in, is they unlock different crafting recipes depending on the race of the thrall that you have. So they might give you access to a new weapon or some other new item depending on the particular specialty of the thrall. So let's go ahead and head over to an area, and I'm going to show you sort of the interesting process by which you can get your very own thrall. So if I come over to the encampment here again, now for the purposes of this video, I have the cloaking mode on, so I don't have to fight every one of these guys. So I'm simply going to come over and we're going to pick out one. And we're going to start knocking some guys on the head. You can see this is not a quick process. And also you can see unconscious. And right over here. So they're unconscious, and it also tells us that they are a fighter. Okay, and again, there is another one. Let's go ahead and... All right, so we've knocked another guy out, and we've got yet another fighter. Fighter is what I have found the very most of in the game. Let's hit a few more folks on the head, and just to see, just because this is more fun than it probably should be. Okay, and you can see we've got fighters. You gotta love the physics there, and we've got a couple of more fighters that are knocked out on the ground. So what we'll do is we'll actually choose this guy here, since he's the closest. We activate our fiber bindings, which can be found, if you're interested in making these can be found here. Fiber bindings are simply twine, so very easy to make. We're going to put away our club, and we are going to use E. Now we have our bindings are attached, and then this is probably the most fun part of it, is you simply get to drag these guys back, and you can drag them over the top. Oh, looks like we are in the process of starving here, so I'm going to put some of this gruel and use this right quick. You can see the gruel doesn't give you much food at all, which is why in the Wheel of Pain I prefer to use the steak, because it lasts quite a bit longer. So we're simply going to head back, and you can see here we are dragging this poor guy back. So here we go. We're dragging him back to the Wheel of Pain. We're going to hold E, press E for the options, and now here he is. Automatically the game puts him in here. I will simply, for demonstration purposes, I'll turn this thing on, and now you see the thrall shows up in the bottom right hand corner in the crafting queue, and the progress bar will slowly fill out. One thing you do not want to do is, while you are training a new thrall, do not try to drag them and remove them from the Wheel of Pain. Okay, do not do that because it will actually destroy them and they will disappear from your game. So you can see the progress bar is slowly filling up, so it's going to take quite a while and quite a bit of gruel in order to do this. So that's how you train a new thrall. If we exit out, you can see that we turn around and our captive is no longer around, so we can simply put away our fiber bindings, and these are reusable. I wasn't sure at first, so I crafted several of these when I first started doing this, but they are reusable, and you can drag these guys through water. I've done that as well, just playing around. So you've got a lot of options here. If we check back in on the progress, this will give you an idea of the amount of time by default that it will take to train one of these guys or gals. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, and hopefully this gives you a little bit better idea about how to capture the NPCs, how to train them on your Wheel of Pain, and then finally some of the things that you can do with them by placing, such as the fighters, placing them around and using them for defense of your base. Thank you very much for joining me, and stay tuned for more Conan Exiles.